Good morning and welcome to Searching Through Scripture. I'm Father Terry from St. David's Anglican Church in Welland, Ontario, and I'm thrilled that you could be with us again this morning. Like many of you, I've spent the last several weeks watching TV, and particularly things that are happening around us globally in the United States, our southern partner, and here in Canada. And I'm amazed at the number of people that are claiming that having face masks or social distancing is an infringement of their civil liberties and their freedoms. Interestingly enough, I had the opportunity to watch the debate through Niagara Regional Council and to listen to the arguments that were being presented on both sides. And I'm not here to pass judgment or to offer any kind of opinion one way or another, but I am curious as we read through today's scripture readings how you feel about that. How do you feel about the imposition now, the mandatory imposition now of having face masks worn in all public places? How do you feel about the need to social distance? How do you feel about the limits put on social gathering, the number of people who can gather for social gatherings, and how that really affects your life? On the other side of that equation, I guess, is the idea of the law. Are laws in their very nature imposed in order to stop us from freely living our lives the way we would choose to? And if that is the case, why? Why do we feel that impositions such as these, or laws in general, control us or cause us to live in a way that is constricted in a manner which goes against our own basic freedoms? And so I'd like us to turn today to the book of Exodus. Now, Exodus is a wonderful story that has been portrayed in many movies, perhaps the most famous, that with Charlton Heston, in which God gives the people of Israel laws and rules to live by. And specifically here we're talking about those that were written on the tablets brought down from the mountain by Moses and commonly known as the Ten Commandments. And as we read through these 10 commandments today, I want you to think about this. Are the commandments as they are written in a way to control us, to dictate the way in which we should live? Or are they expressions of God's love for us and the relationship which is handed down to us on the mountain in this special covenant? Now remember, before we read chapter 20, in chapter 19, we have this conversation in which Moses and God are engaged in defining this special relationship between the people of Jacob, or the people of Israel, as Jacob is commonly known as, and this special relationship that is now going to be formed between the people of God and God the Lord. And interestingly enough, as we read through 20, I want you to see if that expression of love and grace can be found in the commandments and laws that are handed down. So let us begin at verse 1, chapter 20. Then God spoke all these words, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, and you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of their parents, to the third and to the fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son, your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in the 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, but rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. Once again, I'd like you to consider this question. Are these laws rooted in love, love of God, love of your neighbor, love of creation? Or are they restrictions with consequences associated with them in order to control people in a way that God would want? As we look around the world these past few weeks, and we witness the many protests and demonstrations that are being held all around the world, in which people claim that their civil liberties have been infringed upon, in that in ways that they claim hold them back, in ways that infringe upon their ability to do whatever they want, whenever they want it. And so the question then that comes to mind for me is, are these expressions of civil liberties, of freedoms, more of an expression or a want of selfishness or self-fulfillment, or are they something else? As we witness leaders and nations around the world ignoring the needs of the most vulnerable, ignoring the needs of those who may become sick and infected with this terrible virus, and plowing ahead with an agenda to open up economies, to go back to the way things were, because financially countries are struggling, I wonder to myself, is this more an expression of greed and want and of political power? Or is this really an expression that is considering the needs and wants of all those citizens who live in their nations? Please take the time today to consider whether law and civil rights and freedoms are directly opposed to one another, or does law allow us to live in a way in which honors God, honors our neighbor, honors those who are vulnerable, understanding that God's love is extended to each and every one of us, and that we have an obligation to look after each other in good times and in bad. Once again, I invite you to comment on our Facebook page, to leave your thoughts and comments in a way that is respectful to others, but that actually engages the question of whether freedoms and laws are diametrically opposed to one another. As I say each and every week, thank you for joining us. We look forward to your comments and your discussions, and may you stay safe, and may God continue to bless you and surround you with his love. Have a great week.